For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council had ruled the stars. Hundreds of civilizations had gathered under its banner. Ancient empires, warrior races, technological giants, and species that had crossed galaxies before humans even looked toward the sky. They believed they had seen everything. They believed they knew every species that mattered. And that was their first mistake. Because they had never truly met humanity. Earth was not invited to the Galactic Council because they were considered important. Earth was invited because they were considered interesting. A young species. A dangerous curiosity. A civilization that had reached the stars faster than anyone expected. The humans had built impossible machines, survived countless conflicts, and turned a single blue planet into a growing interstellar power. But to the old empires, humanity was still just a newcomer. A species that arrived too late. A species without ancient bloodlines. A species without a 1,000-year history of conquest. When the first human ambassador entered the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, thousands of alien representatives watched in silence. The human stood alone. No massive fleet behind him. No royal symbols. No army of protectors. Just one person carrying the flag of Earth. The Council expected fear. They expected humility. Instead, they saw confidence. The ambassador looked across the endless chamber and spoke. My name is Commander Elias Voss. I represent Earth and all human colonies beyond our homeworld. Today, humanity requests a permanent seat on the Galactic Council. For several seconds, there was silence. Then laughter. Not from one species. From hundreds. The sound echoed through the chamber. A reptilian warlord leaned forward. A permanent seat? Another alien leader smiled. You have existed among the stars for less than 2 centuries. Some of our civilizations were ancient before your species discovered electricity. The chamber erupted again. The humans were being mocked. But Commander Voss did not react. He had expected this. The council continued. You have no ancient territory. You have no legendary bloodline. You have no influence. Why should humanity stand beside civilizations that shaped the galaxy? Commander Voss looked at them calmly. Because we earned our place. The laughter became louder. The council had already decided. Humanity would not receive a seat. The vote was held. The results were immediate. Rejected. Every major empire voted against Earth. The message was clear. Humanity was allowed to exist. Allowed to trade. Allowed to explore. But humanity would never have a voice. The ambassador slowly stood. He looked around the chamber one final time. Understood. The alien representatives smiled. They believed they had one. They believed Earth would accept rejection. They believed humanity would simply disappear into the background. But they misunderstood something fundamental about humans. Humanity had never needed permission to survive. For thousands of years, humans had crossed oceans without invitations. Built nations without approval. Explored places everyone said were impossible. The stars were no different. Commander Voss returned to Earth. And when he arrived, the entire planet was waiting. The leaders of Earth gathered. The military commanders. The scientists. The colony governors. Everyone wanted to know one thing. What did they say? Commander Voss looked at the representatives of humanity. They refused us a seat. Silence filled the room. Then Earth's president asked, "What do we do now?" Commander Voss looked toward the stars outside the window. And for the first time, he smiled. "We stop asking for a seat." The room became quiet. "Then what?" The ambassador answered, "We build something they cannot ignore." Nobody understood what those words meant. Not yet. But across the galaxy, the ancient powers were about to learn a lesson they would never forget. They thought refusing humanity a seat would keep Earth powerless. They thought they had closed the door. They were wrong. Because humanity was never looking for permission to enter the galaxy. Humanity was preparing to take responsibility for it. So, the entire galaxy would know Earth's name. For centuries, the Galactic Council had maintained one simple belief. Power belonged to those who had it first. The oldest civilizations controlled the largest territories. The most advanced species controlled the greatest technologies. The strongest empires controlled the fate of everyone else. Humanity had challenged that belief. And now, the galaxy was about to discover what happened when humans stopped asking for acceptance. 3 years passed after Earth's rejection. The Galactic Council moved on. They forgot about the human ambassador. They forgot about the small blue planet on the edge of known space. To them, humanity was just another young civilization that would eventually learn its place. But while the galaxy was watching old empires celebrate their victories, Earth was building. Deep inside the hidden regions of human-controlled space, construction had begun. Not on one ship, not on 10 ships, but on thousands. The project had a simple name: the Ascension Initiative. When the first reports reached alien intelligence networks, nobody believed them. A human fleet? Impossible. Humanity did not have enough resources. Humanity did not have enough time. Humanity did not have enough experience. But then the first images appeared. A massive human warship emerging from a construction station. The alien analysts stared at their screens. The ship was unlike anything humanity had ever shown before. It was enormous. A kilometer-long fortress of advanced armor and weapons. Its hull carried the symbol of Earth. Not as a warning, as a promise. The ship was called UNS Sovereign. And it was only the beginning. Across dozens of hidden shipyards, more vessels awakened. Carriers, destroyers, exploration fleets, defense platforms. Ships designed not only for war, but for survival. Because humanity had learned something the old empires never understood. A civilization that depends on others for protection eventually loses its freedom. Earth would never allow that. Inside the United Nations Space Command headquarters, Commander Elias Voss watched the progress reports. Fleet completion status? The officer beside him looked nervous. 78%. And the remaining? 6 months. Voss looked at the holographic display. Thousands of ships surrounded Earth. For the first time in history, humanity was united under one purpose. Not conquest. Not revenge. Preparation. But the galaxy did not see it that way. The Galactic Council received the reports and laughed. An alien admiral from the powerful Zoravian Empire reviewed the human fleet estimates. Thousands of ships? He smiled. Quantity does not equal strength. Another commander agreed. Humans are emotional. They build weapons because they feel threatened. The Zoravian admiral looked at Earth on the map. Let them build. They are still young. They will eventually understand that the galaxy belongs to those who were here first. But one species disagreed. The Veyron scholars. An ancient civilization known for predicting galactic conflicts. Their leaders studied the human data for hours. Then he said something that shocked everyone. Stop laughing. The room became silent. The humans are not building a fleet. They are building independence. The other leaders ignored him. But the Veyron leader continued. You do not understand humanity. They do not fight because they believe they will win. They fight because they refuse to lose. Nobody listened. And that was another mistake. Because the council had only seen human diplomacy. They had seen human patience. They had seen human restraint. They had never seen humanity when every peaceful option had been rejected. The final day arrived. The Ascension fleet was complete. Earth's hidden shipyards opened. One by one, human warships entered space. The galaxy watched. And for the first time, the laughter stopped. Because the numbers were impossible. 10,000 ships. 20,000. The ancient powers stared at the impossible reality appearing before them. Humanity had not built a fleet. Humanity had built a civilization that could no longer be ignored. Then Commander Voss sent one message to the Galactic Council. A message only 7 words long. We no longer request permission. The Council received it. Some laughed. Some became angry. Some prepared for war. But the wisest among them understood the truth. Humanity was not coming to join the galaxy. Humanity was coming to change it. And soon, every empire would have to choose. Stand with Earth. Or stand against it. Because the species they rejected was no longer asking for a seat. It was bringing its own table. The message from humanity spread across the galaxy within hours. Every major empire received the same transmission. No threats. No demands. No declaration of war. Just 7 words. We no longer request permission. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council did not know how to respond. They had dealt with rebellions. They had crushed rising civilizations. They had negotiated with desperate worlds. But humanity was different. They were not begging. They were not threatening. They were simply moving forward. And that terrified the old powers more than any weapon could. The first reaction came from the Dravarian Empire, one of the oldest military powers in the galaxy. Their fleets had conquered hundreds of systems. Their warriors were considered unstoppable. When their emperor heard about Earth's growing fleet, he laughed. Humans believe ships make them powerful? The emperor stood before his generals. They have forgotten the difference between building weapons and knowing how to use them. A general stepped forward. Should we send a warning? The emperor smiled. No. We will teach them their place. The Dravarian Empire prepared a fleet. Not their largest. Not their strongest. Just enough to intimidate Earth. They believed a small show of force would make humanity surrender. But they underestimated one thing. Humans had already lost something more valuable than territory. They had lost the illusion that the galaxy would treat them fairly. Earth was done waiting. When the Dravarian fleet entered human-controlled space, they expected panic. Instead, they found silence. No desperate calls. No emergency negotiations. No retreat. Only thousands of human ships waiting. The Dravarian commander stared at the tactical display. How many? The officer looked confused. Sir? How many human vessels are present? The officer swallowed. Approximately 40,000. The bridge went silent. 40,000. The Dravarian fleet had expected a defensive force. They found an entire civilization standing against them. The commander tried to remain calm. Open communication. A human transmission appeared. Commander Elias Voss appeared on the screen. The alien commander looked at him. You are making a mistake, human. Voss remained calm. No. We are correcting one. The alien frowned. You believe this fleet makes you equal to the great powers? Commander Voss looked directly at him. No. It makes us impossible to ignore. The Dravarian commander laughed. You still think this is about a seat on the council? Voss shook his head. That seat was never the goal. The alien became silent. Then what is? The human commander answered. A future where no civilization decides who deserves a voice. The Dravarian commander closed the communication. He believed humans were arrogant. He believed they were emotional. He believed they were dangerous only because they were inexperienced. Then the battle began. The Dravarian fleet fired first. Thousands of weapons crossed the darkness. Energy beams. Missiles. Plasmatechs. The galaxy watched, expecting human ships to fall. But they didn't. Human defensive systems activated. Advanced shields absorbed the attacks. Electronic warfare disrupted enemy targeting. Human formations moved with impossible coordination. The Dravarian commanders became confused. This was not the fighting style of a young species. This was not a desperate defense. This was a military strategy built from thousands of years of human history. Every war, every mistake, every victory, humanity had studied them all. And improved. Within minutes, the Dravarian fleet realized something terrifying. They were not fighting a new civilization. They were fighting a civilization that had spent its entire existence preparing for moments exactly like this. The Dravarian flagship attempted to retreat. But human ships surrounded them. Commander Voss sent one final message. Your emperor believed power comes from age. The pause. He was wrong. Power comes from adaptation. The Dravarian fleet surrendered. Across the galaxy, the news spread. Humanity had defeated one of the oldest military powers. Not through destruction. Not through cruelty. Through precision. The Galactic Council watched in disbelief. The species they rejected had just defeated an empire that had intimidated them for centuries. And now, something changed. Other civilizations began contacting Earth. Not to mock them, not to reject them, but to ask one question: would humanity protect us too? Because the galaxy finally understood. Earth was not trying to take a seat at the Council. Earth was proving that the Council had become too small for what the galaxy needed. And as more worlds turned toward humanity, the old rulers began to fear the truth. The humans they ignored were becoming the center of the galaxy. The galaxy had changed. For thousands of years, power had flowed in one direction. From the Galactic Council to everyone else. The ancient empires made decisions. The smaller civilizations followed. The weak asked for protection. The strong demanded obedience. That was how the galaxy worked. Until humanity arrived. After the defeat of the Dravarian Empire, something impossible happened. Worlds began leaving the old system. Not through rebellion. Not through war. Through choice. Hundreds of civilizations sent messages to Earth. They were not asking for weapons. They were not asking for conquest. They were asking for something the Council had forgotten how to provide. A voice. The first message came from a small colony world called Avalon Prime. We have existed for 400 years under Council protection. But nobody has ever listened to us. We request membership in Earth's alliance. Then another message arrived. Then another. Within weeks, dozens of species had chosen to stand beside humanity. The Galactic Council watched helplessly. Their greatest fear was not Earth's fleet. It was Earth's influence. Humanity had done what no empire had managed to do. They had united people without forcing them. The council leaders gathered in an emergency meeting. The massive chamber that once laughed at humanity was now filled with panic. The Zoravian representative slammed his hand against the table. This cannot continue. A council member looked at him. What do you suggest? We remove humanity before it grows stronger. The room became silent. Everyone understood what that meant. The ancient powers had spent centuries avoiding conflict between major civilizations. But now they were considering attacking Earth. Because they were afraid. A smaller species could be controlled. A weaker civilization could be ignored. But humanity was becoming something else. A symbol. And symbols were dangerous. The final decision was made. The Council authorized Operation Eclipse. A united fleet from the galaxy's oldest empires would move toward Earth. Their mission was simple. Force humanity to surrender. They believed numbers would win. They gathered the largest fleet ever assembled. Millions of ships. Thousands of worlds supporting the operation. The message was broadcast across the galaxy. Humanity has exceeded its authority. Earth must return to its original position. The Council will restore balance. When Commander Elias Voss received the message, he simply smiled. His officers expected anger. Instead, they saw confidence. They still don't understand. An officer asked, "Understand what?" Voss looked at the approaching enemy fleet on the holographic display. "They think we built this fleet to defeat them." He paused. "We built it so nobody could ever decide our future again." The human fleet moved. But this time, Earth did not stand alone. The civilizations that had joined humanity arrived. Not because they were forced. Because they believed. Thousands of alien ships entered formation beside human vessels. The council leaders watched the impossible scene. Their enemies were not attacking Earth. They were protecting it. A Zoravian commander stared at the display. How did humans convince them? Nobody answered. Because the answer was simple. Humanity gave them something the Council never did. Respect. The two fleets met near the edge of human space. The largest military confrontation in galactic history was about to begin. But before the first shot was fired, Earth sent one final transmission. Commander Voss appeared before the entire galaxy. For centuries, you believed leadership came from controlling others. You believed the oldest civilizations deserved the loudest voices. You believed the future belonged to those who arrived first. He looked directly at the council. But the future does not belong to the oldest. It belongs to those willing to protect it. The message ended. The battlefield went silent. Then the Council fleet attacked. Millions of weapons ignited across space. The stars themselves seemed to burn. But something happened that nobody expected. Humanity did not fight like conquerors. They fought like guardians. They protected civilian worlds. They defended weaker fleets. They saved enemy ships when their crews were in danger. The galaxy watched in shock. The humans had every reason to seek revenge. But they chose something different. They chose responsibility. And slowly, even the enemy fleets began to question their orders. Because they finally saw the truth. The Council was fighting to preserve control. Humanity was fighting to create something better. Then the impossible happened. One by one, entire fleets stopped firing. The greatest military alliance in history was beginning to collapse. Not because humanity destroyed it. Because humanity changed the minds of those inside it. And at the center of it all stood Earth. The species that was denied a seat was now deciding the future of every civilization in the galaxy. But the final battle was still coming, because the most powerful empire had not yet entered the war. And they were not planning to negotiate. They were planning to erase humanity completely. The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council was losing control. Not because an enemy fleet had destroyed them. Not because their planets had fallen. But because the civilizations they ruled over no longer believed they were necessary. The old order was collapsing. And the ancient powers had one final weapon. The Valkyr Dominion. The oldest and most powerful empire in known space. A civilization that existed before the Galactic Council itself. For thousands of years, the Valkyr Dominion had remained silent. They did not interfere. They did not negotiate. They simply watched. Because they believed every civilization eventually reached the same point. They either conquered, or they were conquered. When they heard that humanity had united hundreds of worlds without invasion, the Valkyr Emperor became interested. Not impressed. Not afraid. Interested. "Bring me the human commander," the Emperor ordered. A few hours later, a transmission reached Earth. The Emperor of Valkyr appeared before Commander Elias Voss. "You have caused chaos across the galaxy, human." Voss looked at him calmly. "No. We exposed a system that was already broken." The Emperor leaned forward. "You believe you can replace thousands of years of galactic order?" "No." Voss paused. "We believe the galaxy deserves better than fear." The Emperor laughed. "Your species is fascinating. You have strength, but you hide it behind ideals. You have power, but you refuse to use it. That is why you will fail." Commander Voss looked at the Emperor. "That is why you already have." The transmission ended. The Valkyr Dominion prepared for war. Unlike the previous enemies, they did not underestimate humanity. They knew Earth was dangerous. So they sent everything. Their legendary armada. Their ancient war machines. Weapons that had never been seen for thousands of years. Across the galaxy, everyone expected the final battle. The Valkyr fleet moved toward Earth. The human alliance prepared. Millions of ships surrounded the planet. But then something unexpected happened. Humanity did not attack. Commander Voss sent an open transmission to the entire galaxy. Today, the Valkyr Dominion believes this battle is about victory. But it is not. This battle is about choice. The message continued. For thousands of years, civilizations have been told they are either rulers or subjects. Today that ends. The human fleet opened its communications. And every allied civilization joined. One by one they spoke. "We stand with Earth." Not because they feared humanity. Because they trusted humanity. The Valkyr Emperor watched the transmissions. Hundreds of species. Thousands of worlds. All united. Not under control. Under agreement. For the first time in his long life, the Emperor understood something. Humanity had achieved what every empire had failed to achieve. Unity without domination. The Valkyr fleet approached Earth. The battle began. But the human alliance fought differently. They disabled enemy ships instead of destroying them. They rescued Valkyr soldiers. They protected civilians. They showed the galaxy something impossible. Strength did not require cruelty. Power did not require fear. After hours of fighting, the Valkyr flagship was surrounded. Commander Voss contacted the Emperor one final time. "You can continue this war. Or you can help build something greater." The Emperor remained silent. For centuries, nobody had ever offered him a choice. Only obedience. Only surrender. Only victory. Finally, the Emperor lowered his weapon. The humans were rejected because they were considered young. He looked at the galaxy outside his window. But perhaps youth is exactly what this galaxy needed. The Valkyr Dominion surrendered. The war ended. But humanity did not take the galaxy by force. They did not destroy every empire. They did not place their flag above every world. Instead, they created something new. A new galactic alliance. A place where every civilization had a voice. Where no species was considered too young, too weak, or too unimportant. Years later, a new galactic council was formed. But this time, the first seat was not given to the oldest empire. It was given to Earth. Commander Elias Voss stood before thousands of representatives. The same galaxy that once laughed at humanity now waited for its words. He looked around the chamber. The universe is too large for one species to rule. The future is too important for only a few voices to decide. Humanity did not come here to sit above others. We came here so nobody would ever be forced to stand below. The galaxy listened. And history recorded the truth. They refused humanity a seat. They thought they had rejected a young civilization. They thought they had silenced Earth. But they made the greatest mistake in galactic history. Because when humanity was denied a place among the stars, humanity did not leave. Humanity did not surrender. Humanity built a future where everyone had a seat. And in the end, Earth did not take the galaxy. The galaxy chose Earth.